Good evening. The Gaza headquarters of international news networks have been reduced to rubble in a disturbing development in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The battle is quickly spiralling out of control as the turmoil spreads across the world. And a warning, some viewers might find these images distressing.
The place where Gaza's stories are told becomes the story.
And the terror has come down. So that is a landmark, an institution that has now been razed to the ground in Gaza.
3 Israeli rockets destroying the 12-storey building used by television network Al Jazeera and the United States-owned news agency Associated Press.
We narrowly escaped a huge loss of life.
The journalists and camera crews had been given warning. This phone call from Israeli officials coming an hour before the blast.
And those brave journalists not only got out, but they were able to salvage much of our equipment because it's important that we continue to tell this story.
For 15 years, the tower's rooftop was the prime location for covering Israel's clashes with the Hamas militant group. Now the news crews will move elsewhere as the conflict begins to resemble a civil war. From the streets of Israel to the Gaza skyline, the destruction and sheer hostility remains clear. Sydney man Fadi Hamad had travelled to Gaza to secure visas for his wife and young son, but became stuck during the pandemic. Now he is trapped by the violence and living in fear.
I've seen everything in my own eyes, you know.
He says rockets consistently rain down across his neighbourhood. Fadi filmed the terror in the streets after a recent strike before discovering his car crushed under rubble. Even while speaking to us, a blast rang out. The young father hoping he'll be able to escape back to Australia with his family.
I need just to come back to my country. I just need to come back to Sydney.
Mass funerals now a daily reality. And in a Gaza hospital, a lone survivor. Baby Omar will grow up without his mother and 4 siblings, who were all killed by Israeli rocket fire. But the Palestinians are also continuing their assault, at times with deadly effect. In the Tel Aviv suburb of Ramat Gan, a man died in his apartment after a rocket pounded his street. And Israelis are constantly running to bomb shelters amid the sound of sirens. The country's so-called Iron Dome defence system stops more than 90% of rockets from landing, but it's impossible to know where and when the missiles will get through. US President Joe Biden calling the Israeli Prime Minister and the Palestinian Authority President trying to de-escalate what is now global unrest. From the streets of Washington, D.C. to London, Paris and Berlin, pro-Palestinian protesters calling for an end to the bloodshed. In London, Ben Avery, 9 News.